add us to the stream here, John. And this is Rick Morgan and Nolan Morgan. Say hi, Nolan.
Hello.
And this is Big John, who you know.
Yeah.
What's up, Nolan?
What's up?
Hey, he wanted to say hi.
Yeah, no worries, man. Yeah, he's one of my favorite little kids.
All right. Yeah, he likes.
Yeah. I gotta
send
him. I gotta send him a bunch of shirts, man, that shrunk up on him, brother. I can't wear them no more.
Oh man.
Yeah, they're way too small now for me, but they're cool. I got an Iron Maiden one, so I think you'll get a kick out of all of them.
Oh, fun. How big are you? How tall are you now? Well, Nolan's in wrestling now. How tall are you, Nolan?
What, like 5'9"?
He's 5'9". How much do you weigh?
118.
118 pounds. So
yeah.
Well, I'm 6'6", about 245.
Yeah, so you're about 2 Nolans, exactly.
Yeah, pretty much. I used to be much bigger before I got sick when I was about 38 years old. I used to be about the same height, 6'6", but I used to be about 280, about 280 pounds.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to get right into this.
All right, let's do it.
I got some advice for your friend. I don't know who he is. You can tag him on the gentleman that said that he had a bad experience when he cleaned his book, the pages and the cover got brittle. He popped the staples when he was using the peroxide and the UV light. Number one, I don't personally recommend. I mean, I started with your home peroxide, right? I started using that like 30 some years ago, and the burn is way different than the stuff that I use now. The burn on your household peroxide is immediate, and it's much harder to stop the burn. Even if you dilute it, it's still pretty bad. I mean, when you put it on a cut, it bubbles immediately, so it's burning away everything immediately. Also, when you use the mix that I'm using, even if you use it on your bare skin, it takes quite a few minutes for the burn to appear as white on your fingerprints. Okay, it takes about 30, 45 seconds or so. So the burn is much slower because it's already a good mix. So I don't recommend using that. I don't know how you feel about homemade peroxide, but I don't recommend using it. So basically what I did is this is a Fantastic Four. This is a Silver Age book, number 73. Now, if you look really close at this top edge, you could see where it's not as white as the rest. That's because this was completely like brown. And I was able to get it that light. And then the rest of the cover was tan. And the back was even worse. I will take it out if you need me to, but the cover should tell the tale.
Yeah, I think I have an after picture here. That's just the same book.
Yes, the same exact book. Yes.
Yeah.
So that is after I sort of followed that video and his mistakes. So I sort of do a little differently. The misting bottles that you sell, I like them. They work really good. The problem is when you're doing a book that's already brittle, it adds too much. So what I did was I took my little blue and white steamer. You have the same steamer I have.
Yeah.
And I took my steamer and I took the same mix, my 40 and DI water, and I added them together, put them in the steamer. And then what I did was I just added a little bit more humidity to whatever I'm doing, whatever project. Now, you're looking for instant satisfaction if you use a peroxide and put it in the light for no matter how long you're doing it. You're looking for quick satisfaction to make it white. The problem is you're making it brittle and white, which is not what you want to do. So I did this cover twice. So I misted it once with the steamer. I put it in for a half an hour. I removed it. I let it completely dry. And then I misted it again with the same solution in the steamer, the same amount of humidity, and I put it back underneath the lights. And I did it both the front and the back. Then I added regular humidity with my full size steamer, which I did a review on, and I pressed the book. Now, here's the point with pressing your book. When you drop your hammer and you feel that little bit of tension, back it off a half a turn. Because remember, you're putting boards already in a book that's brittle. You just made it a little bit more brittle by doing the peroxide, even if you did it twice. So just back the pressure off about a half a turn, and then it should drop a little easier. This way, you're not going to pop staples. I did not pop staples on this book. I can also remove this book from the bag and the board from the top edge without it coming off. So this book is not brittle, even though it was already brittle to begin with, because it was brown here and tan everywhere else. This is what happened when I did it twice. That's how white it is. And it came out really, really well. So that is my advice to him. Just change a little bit of the way that you're doing it.
So summarize, 50-50 mixture of the Salon Care 40 and
yes, and DI water.
It ends up being 6%. It's important to do DI water. They do not use DI water in the pharmaceutical grade peroxide I've learned. So
yeah, you always want to use DI water no matter what anyway. Because it has no sediment.
So you're saying to steam it on there with the one steamer I have, which is called the Perfect Steamer or Pure. It's called Pure Steam, PUR steamer that I have.
Yeah, you got the same steamer, but yours is this big, and I bought the Pure steamer that sits on the floor.
Oh yeah,
with
the bigger one
with the hose, the one I did the review on my channel.
Oh, right. I remember seeing that now, of course. I don't know why.
Yeah, it works. And the thing with this new one that I got, because the hose is insulated, it doesn't spit water through the little holes.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, this is
exactly
mine here. This is the one that I have here, this little guy.
Yeah, that's the same one it's almost that's the exact same one that I have. The top unscrews like halfway and you just pull it off, right?
Yeah, exactly like
that. Just like that. So all I did was I mixed, because I have two of those and then I have my big steamer. I just took one of my other steamers and I just put half DI water and I used half of my 40. And that's how I was able to not make the book so brittle. And I didn't use the spray bottle for the mist to make it really heavy. I used just as I did a little bit more than I would add humidity before I pressed the book. So there's some condensation. And then I just took a face makeup remover pad and went and just made it, a nice smooth area. You know what I mean? So there was no buildup. And then I did it twice and that's my result.
Yeah. And I've done similar. I've had brittle pages and I've had supple pages. And by doing things similar, but not the exact same as what you do, I've had pretty supple pages. I like to keep my box like full of moisture, so it essentially doesn't dry out during the process, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You always want a little moisture in the book, because when you add heat, you're pulling moisture out. You know what I mean? Yeah. And people need to understand that when you add that much heat and pressure, you're pulling out the moisture that was in the book. Hence you add humidity to the book so that whatever was already in the book, it still has a chance to stay there and just get off what you put in it and pull the ticks out and everything else.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
The books look great. And if they're supple, that's good. People have been popping staples and people have been cracking like the edges on the right side or the top of the book.
They gotta release their pressure, Rick. Seriously. One of my lessons, if you watched my early videos in the beginning, is you have to know your press. First and foremost, you have to know the press. You have to know. You should take dummy books, crap books, set them up like you would, and then just get to know the feel when you drop the hammer. Get to know that feel. And I promise you, you're going to get much better with your press. But a lot of these people, they're watching our videos and they're not getting to know any of the stuff that they're using. They're trying to duplicate what we are doing and what we've spent years mastering.
Yeah, one thing is I've been working on my pressure sensor for the pressure I was working on it today again. It just doesn't give me the same values from press to press and person to person. So it's hard for me to say, because I do 55 pounds for regular book. I do 40 after I use a light treatment on a book. 40 pounds. But that's what I have it calibrated to, right? But I can't sell you one, send one to you and have it still say 40 at your house with your press. And that's the problem I'm running into with that.
Yeah, because I use a Tussie. And to me, it's the best press ever made. I mean, I've used over 112 presses, and Tussie has always been the best. They work the best. The temperature spread is perfect. The pressure toward the back is just a little bit more. It's like not even a quarter pound heavier than the front, which is good if you have a lot of, spine damage. It has just that little bit more pressure on the spine to get all that stuff out. But
I have one too. Here, this is the one I have. I got something in there now, and it's a Tussie as well. And it's an old reliable one that I've had for a long time. This thing with two of these pressure plates in here and one silicone pad underneath, I get all the pressure I could ever want. And it's pretty even, and I can adjust these. I adjust these with a screwdriver to make sure I get even pressure.
Yeah.
At the back. And
mine are Allen wrench.
Exactly. Like my muscles know exactly where this book is all the pressure is all the time and where this thing needs to go. And that's my old reliable right there, that guy.
Exactly. And I mean, I've always used a Tussie. I live by it. I love it to death. So, I mean, but that's what I have on the gentleman that really screwed up his book and popped the staples and everything got really brittle on him. Yeah. Slow down, brother. You just got to slow down a little bit, and for all you guys out there who are just, you're watching our videos and you're learning, the first thing you need to do is you need to get to know the products and the tools that you are using. You can't just watch a video and do it. There's muscle memory. I've been doing this for a long time. There's muscle memory. When you press tens of thousands of books, you get muscle memory. You can't do that just by pressing, 100 bullcrap books. You just can't get that muscle memory because not every book is the same thickness. You're going to do Golden Age, Platinum Age, Silver Age, Copper, Bronze, Moderns. They're all different. They're all set up different. They all take different humidity. You know what I mean? They all take different pressures. You know what I mean? You just got to get to know what you're doing slowly. You can't just dive in. Remember, my favorite two words is patience and due diligence. You have to do both.
You know what mine are? My 4 words are wet paper is weak paper.
Wet paper is weak paper, schmutz and boogers.
Yeah, schmutz is another one of mine. I want to take a second. Actually, I'm going to share. I've just thought about, because I have my two brothers my new brothers online here with me. I want to show them really quickly what the other side of my my room looks like here. One of them has never been to my house. So I'm going to show that I have. So on this side, I have my statue corner here. I have this, nobody ever gets to see all my Batman and Spider-Man stuff. And I have Spider-Man villains stuff up here. And then I have just Spidey stuff over here and a little periodic table of the elements with one of a piece of each element in it that's permanent. That's kind of a fun thing for people who never see the other direction of what my room looks like here on the other side. And then here's my these are posters I had when I was in high school on my wall from way back when. So anyway, I just thought I would share that real quick while they're on here. I didn't mean to derail our
Oh no, you're good. You're good. Yeah. And then so for the gentleman who screwed up his book, just try something a little different, and I don't ever recommend doing page by page, peroxiding each page. Once you do one side, remember you have to do the other side. So you're making it double brittle.
Here's the other thing is that the interior pages get so much more brittle than the cover when
they do, because the cover at least has protection with a UV coating. the inside of the book is nothing but newspaper print. So I don't recommend using a peroxide. Just, wash them, put them in a tub, do one page at a time, be patient. If it takes you 10 days to do one book because you have to bathe each page and let it dry, squashing it and paper toweling it, then do it. You know what I mean? But you're not going to get brittle paper if you just wash the pages. So, and just by using distilled water and washing your pages with a agitator in the water, it's still going to take most of the dirt off of them anyway. Just make sure when you hang them so that they dry. They don't get no water stains from water sitting on them. You got to let the water run off.
When I use that washer that I have that's at an angle and I spray water, you would not believe how yellow that water turns. Like even
It's nasty.
It gets really bad.
It looks like
just this morning actually, and it's so yellow and it comes out. The page may not look that much brighter, but so much junk. It smells better. It's more flexible. It's just washing it just really, there's 60 years worth of schmutz on it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Your favorite word, schmutz.
Yeah, there's boogers and whatever else is on this.
Yeah. Okay, so everybody who's watching this video, I hope, remembers my last interview where we talked about the Werewolf by Night 32.
Right.
How I cleaned it. I mean, it was so dirty, and it was just pure carnality that this book could have probably starred in its own porn. Here is the book, fresh back from CGC. But the most important thing I want everybody to pay attention to is this is a blue universal label.
And it
came back a 4.0. Huh?
You cleaned the pee out of this thing, if I remember correctly.
Yes, because it was nasty, dude. I mean, this thing would have died in the porn industry. It was so dirty. But so here's the cover. So it came back a 4.0. When I got this book, I graded it a 1.5. That's pre-press, pre-clean. Came back a 4.0. Here, I'm going to show the back from the side so you guys can see the whole book. This is the back. I don't know if you guys remember. You can check the other video, but this is the back of that book. This book was filthy, filthy, filthy dirty. So this is what it looks like. There you go. No glare. There's what it looks like right now. This is the same book, guys. Seriously, no bull.
People who didn't see the other video may ask you to quickly say what you did, John.
Okay, I used a new cleaning process. I used a bag of looked like crystal meth. I mixed it with DI water and some peroxide with 2 drops of ImmacuClean in my steamer, and I basically steamed it, and then I basically cleaned it, and then I put it, and after it was clean, I put it in the UV light. And this one actually had to be with the mister because it was so thick. And this was, I want to say, an hour or a little less than an hour. And I got it from being that filthy, filthy dirty to being that white and that clean.
Now, inside the solution, did you use that dry ImmacuClean that I sent you? Was that what was it?
Yes. Yeah. I put that in there. Yeah. And that's what I basically put in my steam. You know what I mean? I mixed some in a gallon jug and then I poured some in the steamer. You know what I mean? And then I put 2 drops of ImmacuClean in there, raw ImmacuClean, and then I used my peroxide mix, but I cut it, I think, a third of it, because I was just trying to clean everything off, because I don't know if you guys remember, but there were huge black lines on here from dirt and indentations and everything. But guys, I promise you, I'm not bull crap. I'm not bull chipping you. This is the same book. Okay, you can go back and watch the other interview, but I don't really want to talk about the book. You can watch the other video. This most important thing to me is this. It came back a blue universal label 4.0. Okay, this is what I want to stress.
That's
the other thing I want.
Pretty severe chemical exposure, right?
This had 3 different chemicals on it, 3 different times. It had a huge chemical bath. Seriously. I mean, this thing, to get it like this, it was huge. Okay. It took a lot of time. It took a lot of stressing. It was my first book of using my new way of doing things when a book was this filthy. So, had seriously chemicals on it, guys. So for those of you who are worried about restoration labels, now you have something to worry about. Blue Universal label, seriously chemicals to get it this clean, 4.0 Blue Universal, okay? Now, these books that I'm going to show you guys were cleaned the same way with the same chemicals. Immaculate and my peroxide mix. We're going to start with the better of the 3 books that I'm going to show you. This is a Fantastic Four 65. This came back. I graded this book when I got it at a 3.0. That's pre-clean, pre-press. Okay. This book came back a 6.5 white pages. The problem is it came back CGC conserved grade. Conservation includes cover cleaned. I looked up the grader's notes. Cover cleaned. There it is.
Blue.
Same chemicals that I used on the other book that you just saw, The Werewolf by Night, I used on this book. This came back a conserved grade, 6.5.
Is conserved? I don't know what color that is. Is that blue or green? I can't tell.
Gray. It's gray.
Gray.
Now, you guys saw the back of the 32, right? Here's the back of this. This just says cover clean. Don't say nothing about the back, because look at the back, guys. This back was completely khaki. That was the color of the back of this book, was khaki. So I don't want to hear nothing about no conserved gray. No, brother, that book, that picture you just showed was of the back of the Fantastic Four. But if somebody wants to see the back of the Fantastic Four, the one that was already brittle, show that again.
Right. Is that this one?
Yes, that's the back of the Fantastic Four. The raw book that I showed you guys. That's the back of the book. That book right there. That was the back of that book.
And this is this one, right?
Yes, that's this one.
I can see the colors easier now. Okay.
Yeah. So that's this book. It's a conserved grade, and it had the same thing that was done to The Werewolf by Night 32. Look at the back of that book. This book was the color of your khaki pants. So if my Werewolf by Night 32 came back a 4.0 universal blue label with the same chemicals, what's wrong with this picture? Now, I want to let everybody know that the turnaround time for moderns from 74 to now and 74 back, as long as they're $400 max, my turnaround time is 10 days. Okay. So this was in a grader's hand and it was done in 10 days. It was actually picked up in 10 days. It was dropped off and picked up in 10 days. It was done. CGC's rules on grading books is each book goes through 3 graders. 3 graders look at each book. That's an impossibility if these books are being done in 10 days. Impossible.
I told you maybe it's 3rd graders, but not 3 graders, right?
Exactly. So I want to know what's wrong with this picture, guys. Same thing. Clean back. Same procedure done to this book was done to The Werewolf by Night, but I got a 6.5 conserved grade. Now, this one doesn't kill the value. It just lets somebody know that, the cover was cleaned. Conserved value, conserved grade is not it's not like a purple or green label where it really hurts the value of the book. Right now, I have 2 more books to show you. And these really pissed me off. And I'm really not that guy you want to be making mad. Here's the first one. Actually, I'll save this one because it's a huge key, even though the movie was terrible. I thought the actor that played him did a good job, but I didn't like the movie. This is X-Men 19. It got a CGC restored grade. This went through the same cleaning process as the Werewolf by Night and the Fantastic Four 65. This is the origin and first appearance of the Mimic. It's a Silver Age book. It got a 7.0 restored label. And the restoration includes, and I looked it up, the grader's notes, cover was cleaned. That's it. But this came back a purple label. The same thing was done to this book as the last two. But this one got a restored label. And this book was tan and khaki. It was really tan. You can see where the color is not as white at the very top here. You see where it's just a little yellowed? Because that was almost completely brown. The rest was khaki. Now look at it.
Yeah. So what do you think? Do you have any insight, John, into what they're seeing?
No, I don't, because I looked for what you were talking to me about. I looked for that, and there isn't any. I put 50 times magnification on this, and this book lays completely flat. There's no bumps. There's no ridges. There's no nothing. There's no paper fiber swelling. There's nothing. I can't find anything wrong. I think that it went through speedingly. And why would they give me a blue universal label on a book that was chemically destroyed and got a 4.0? Not destroyed, chemically, just I used a lot of chemicals to make it look like that. And they gave me a 4.0 universal label. And I do the same process for these three books. Why the difference?
Anybody else know? Anybody else know what they're picking up on, or anybody else have similar experiences? Also, we've got 14, or I guess 12 viewers now. Can we get 12 likes out of you guys?
Okay, so here's the last book. I did find what you were talking about on this book. The swelling of the paper fiber.
Right.
I found it.
I see.
Right? Yes, it's actually visible. So I didn't quite do my due diligence on this book, and that's my fault. And I will crack it at my own cost for the customer, and I will resubmit it. But this one came back CGC. This is Avengers number 8. This is the first appearance of Kang. This came back a CGC restored grade, Avengers number 8. Restoration includes cover cleaned. It came back a 3.5 with off-white pages. Now, this book was really, really bad, dude. This book was actually graded a 1.0.
Oh, wow.
So I'm actually happy that it came back a 3.5. And you could see the overspray there along the top. That was actually like emerald green. It was so dark. But I got it a little lighter, and you can see along the back top edge here where it's really light. And then this book was so nasty brown.
Yeah, it looks great.
Now, that's what I'm saying. And then, but this went through the same process. I guess I wasn't patient enough when I was rubbing it out with my makeup remover pad and the wool sock. I think that's where I ran into trouble with this book. I did not use the wool sock. I think that was my problem. And but this cover was completely dark khaki.
That looks
you know what? You know what I mean? So as white as this is, I'm okay with it being a 3.5. I'm just, because it was a 1.0, I'm not happy for my customer. So I'm going to crack this. My wool sock was cleaned, so I'll be able to use it.
Can you describe your buffing process with the sock and the makeup pad?
What I do is, once I take it out of the light, You know, it's not as glossy as it should be, right?
Right.
And there could be some dirt after you clean it that's dried, it's near the surface now. You know, it's come out of the paper fiber like almost like a sponge reverse process. You know.
Yeah, it kind of squeezes the dirt out a little. Yeah.
Exactly. So what I do is I take a makeup remover pad and I rub it on the book gently, and I just go round and round and round and round and round, and you'll start seeing the gloss start to come back on the book. And when you flip the makeup pad over where your two fingers are, you'll see dirt. Sometimes you'll see dirt there. And I always think it's cool because, you know, the dirt's trying to mock my fingerprints, you know, trying to make fun of a brother, you know what I mean? But it's all right. But so I'll keep doing that. And I'll use the white makeup remover pads until there's no more dirt. So when I turn over that makeup pad and there's no more finger marks or dirt on that makeup pad, then I know I'm done. Then I'll take my wool sock, which make sure you got the money to buy a wool sock. First off, I worked in Alaska for 3 years, so I had like 4 pairs of wool socks. And one of them was so badly had holes in the feet, I just cut the top of it off. And I use it and I do the same thing. I gently circular motion. And what that does is it brings everything right where it's supposed to be. All the gloss is reanimated. The whites are now white. And it just makes it look really, really good. Even when you look at the back of a book, right? And it's a lot of white, right? That's a lot of white and some color, right? It even brings back the gloss of all the color pieces, all the lettering, like all that small black writing, it'll all show a lot of gloss.
By buffing him out, I've seen him get like ridiculously glossy. I'll show you what I use, John.
Oh, it gets crazy.
These reusable, there's a reusable makeup pads, and they're wool. I think they're wool on one side, and there's like a poly on the other. There's like a different, and they're you can wash them. They're reusable makeup pads. But if you take the smoother part and you do figure eights on a cover,
I usually go round and round, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
It can become ridiculously shiny, like almost too shiny. You can even things out a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, too, and the reason why you're cleaning them is because you're probably still pulling dirt off the book, even though you've cleaned the shit out of it.
I think I looked in the microscope once, and what I think is happening partially is some of the fibers are sticking up this way and some are sticking that way. And when you do this, you sort of give them all the same like chance of being the same direction, the same level, and to your eye that looks really reflective. You're sort of aligning all the stray fibers into your eye that looks really shiny. You know,
like I just did an Iron Man Submariner #1, you know, from 1968, and it was nasty. I cleaned it. And you know, the one problem too when you're whitening a book, and I use the steam method because you have to be careful with the cover of that book. It's got a lot of color and then the gray rocks and blacks. But by using my steamer with the peroxide mix in it instead of the mister, the spray bottle, I didn't fade the cover or the back. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't saturate it as much. So, and the book came out great, but when I took it out of the lights, from underneath the lights, you know, because it was famous for like 15 minutes. And then when I took it out of the light, it was really, really dull. You know, Iron Man was dull. Submariner was dull. The Iron Man Submariner, the marquee was dull. The rocks were dull. The white going into the color was dull and boring. So after I cleaned the back and did the white on the back, all I did is I put it down on my table, put a board underneath, and I put a board on top, and I just do my circular thing. And man, that book was so blindingly glossy when I was done. It was ridiculous. But with the makeup pad remover, I had to use like 4 of them before there was no dirt. Right? And I had cleaned the dust off that book. And I was still pulling dry dirt off because it wasn't wet. It was dry dirt off that book. It took four times of doing the whole cover for me to do it, the whole cover with the 4th makeup remover pad with no residue, no dirt. And then I buffed it out with my wool sock. Man, it was so dang glossy. I would show you, but unfortunately it's in the press.
Hey, John, have you can you share any of your experiences with using that that mask I sent you in the X-Men 3? How did that work for you?
Oh, you want me to get it?
Yeah, wouldn't you mind? Yeah.
What are you doing, man? Why are you setting a brother up? You
I'm
know?
sorry. I wanted to know if it worked okay. I shouldn't have caught you cold like this.
That's messed up. You setting a brother straight up.
Oops. So I sent John a peroxide mask and a light mask for
Okay, so yeah, he made me a mask. Unfortunately, his laser cutter wasn't cutting acrylic, so I had to get it out of the same stuff that he makes his chamfer boards out of. But it's all right, it worked. So nobody saw the book, okay, because I didn't make a video on it. And by the way, my new video is coming out of In the Beginning. Here is the book. I'll show it to the side so you guys can see the whole thing. Rick, you saw this book because I mailed it to you.
Yeah.
It was a light khaki, right?
Yeah, of course.
So here's
the original picture somewhere. Yeah.
I'm holding it up.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there's the original picture right there. So that's what it looked like. That's the cover. You guys can look really close. You can see the dark staining or the dark tanning. It was pretty nasty. So I used the mask, and this was 45 minutes of the back. So here's the back. And now the staples have been removed because I'm going to bathe it because it had some liquid damage. Okay, hey Rick, can you see how glossy that is?
Yeah, actually, if you can catch the light a little for us,
Yeah, there you go.
Good,
this has been buffed out. So even like this bullseye over here has got some gloss. So as you can see, it reanimated it, but this is the back of the book. And it looked worse than the front. So that's how white it is. Oh, by the way,
amazing.
Listen.
Oh, yeah.
It's not brittle. So here you go. If it was brittle, I wouldn't have been able to remove the staples. So there's the back. Now I'm going to show you guys the front in a minute. So the problem is basically this, you guys can see that dark areas. That's about, the cover was a little darker than that. So you can see the line.
The original back looked like this.
Yeah. So, and so this is what it looks like now. Okay. Now here's the cover, you guys. You ready?
That looks fantastic. Those reds are really popping, John. And we all know that those reds in the X-Men books, the early Marvel books, are really sensitive to the.
Oh, they sucked. Yeah, they sucked.
That's what it looked like originally. It looks just as bright now, but the whites are really white, and we didn't lose any reds on that.
Yeah, the customer actually said that this book looked like it came out of 2014, not 1964.
Right. It looks really good. That was fantastic.
Okay, so but this one here, it's going to get a bath, so I can get the water staining off, and then when I'm done, this inside, this yellow look will look like this when it's all said and done.
Yeah, that is a beautiful book. It looks so much better than it used to look. I'm going to show the front again, John. Can you show it next to that so they can see the comparison?
I'll try. Yeah,
it's kind of hard, I know, but yeah, it looks a lot better, obviously, and none of the colors are faded, so that mask worked really well.
Yeah, it did. Yeah,
that's perfect.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, I just did an Amazing Spider-Man annual 1, and it did fade the colors a bit on that book.
Yeah, my biggest test is I just had a customer send me an ASM 50.
That is a tough one, dude. That is I think Buck at Lithium Age did one recently. That one stops your heart because it's so much red.
Yes, it is. Yeah, that one, I've cleaned about, I don't know, 75 or 80 of them. And I've only used Immaculate on, I think, 8 or 10 of them. But I only use a third of the Immaculate that I normally would use on, my regular mix. I have a heavy mix, and I have a one that's a third of your measurements. It's like, I think it's like 2.5 drops in that push bottle of DI water.
Yeah,
So
actually, a little bit actually does work pretty well still.
it does, but you got to go over it a few times. But
Yeah.
it just doesn't hurt the color. That's because that red, it could really hurt that cover.
I cleaned my book. I wonder if it's easy for me to get to. I'll show you because I did mine with the Magic Clean in my keeper copy of ASM 50, and it looks so much more red. I don't know what your experience is, but it looks.
Well, yeah, when you buff them out, they almost looks like blood.
Here's what I'll switch to my. Sorry, I'll switch to my camera here.
You're good.
This is what mine looks like. Look how red that book is after I cleaned it with the Magic Clean. It was like ridiculously red once I cleaned it out, and it's really smooth. This book was kind of beat up a little when I first got it, but man, it looks good now. And this can use a little more cleaning, I think, on the back especially. But it's a good looking book, so I'm kind of happy with it.
It's a very, very tough book to get in high grade.
Yeah,
because people read the hell out of it.
First Kingpin, right? Not only was it's for cover seekers, right? But it's also for people who like Kingpin, and that started off this Kingpin Silvermane story that went on for like 25 issues in the book, and it was really good. It was a good story.
Well, his first cover is 51,
right?
You know what I mean? So he's not on the cover of 50, but his first cover appearance is 51, which is an awesome cover as well.
Yeah, 28. Another book I have trouble with is Spacing Spider-Man. I think it's 28. I'll show you a copy here.
Is that the yellow one?
It's the black one. Look at this. This bad boy is hard to find with no spine ticks.
Oh, Molten Man. Yeah, that's really tough.
That's a tough one to get in high grade. And
I remember that video you did, or we talked about it. That guy sent you one to clean it. He thought it was like a 9.8, and it was somebody airbrushed it.
Right. Oh my God, that was awful.
I
have a hard time telling people stuff like that. Like telling people, look, there's color touch on this. There's tape in it. It's been trimmed. Or worst story of all, that 181 Hulk that guy saved up for years and paid a lot of money for, and it was just a photocopy. Like,
wow. Somebody just brought me a Marvel Spotlight 5. There was a copy. The whole book was copied, and he thought it was legit. He got it off of Whatnot. Listen, I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna grab a book that I just did, an ASM 101. It had 16 spots of color touch and a piece glued onto the back. All of it was removed. I actually found everything and removed it all. I want to show you guys the results of that.
Sure. As a preview, I'll show you guys what this is tomorrow. A video that made a bunch of these things and what I'm using this for. Can anybody guess? What do you think I'm using this for? It's for experiments only, but anybody know? What could this be? I don't know. So, but anyway, I'll make that video probably overnight or tomorrow morning. It has to do with drying comics. Anyway, does anybody have any questions in the chat box? Everybody sleep?
All right, so I got this book back. I graded this a 2.0 before press and clean.
Okay.
Okay. You can see the back is pretty clean.
Yeah, I'll say.
Okay. Now, I want you guys to pay attention. Somebody glued a small piece. It was done with, I believe, Elmer school glue. And they glued a very small piece right here. And I removed the piece. And I removed the glue residue. Right? So that was the piece they glued on. I thought it was kind of stupid that they glued it back on, but can't blame them. There was also glue residue on the other page. So that was also removed, just like a shadow of it. Now, I'm trying to hide the label so nobody sees it.
Yeah.
Because I want, people to see this along this spine over here. Sorry, everything's backwards.
Yeah.
Along the spine and along the top of the book, and 3 spots down here. There was 1 here and then 2 on the other side of the doppelganger hand. There were 16 points of restoration, color touch. it looked like Sharpie and or some kind of ink pen, maybe. But they were definitely in darker areas. There was one in green that was probably a Crayola magic marker. I don't know, but they came off pretty simply. It took about 4 days to remove all the color touch, to remove the glue residue. And I called the gentleman who owned the book, and I broke the news to him that it had color touch. He was very disappointed in that. He asked me if I could remove it, and I did. And I luckily I found everything, because it came back a 5.5 universal label.
That is so whack compared to all the other stuff you did on other conservative.
And believe it or not, this had the same cleaning on the back and front as the other books. And this one, having all the points of restoration, the color touch, and the glue piece in the back, at least I found everything and got it removed to at least get from a purple label to a blue label.
That's good. How did you get the glue
This was
off,
a
John?
purple label restored book.
That's amazing. How did you get the glue off? I use the tacking iron and either an art gum eraser or a razor blade and scrape it off.
No, I didn't do that. What I did is I heated it with my heat gun, and I was able to pull the piece off without ripping any more of the paper.
Oh, that's lucky. I use the tacking iron across it with the silicone paper, and
Yeah.
I usually get it off with like a razor blade.
No, that's all I did. And then I have a rosin bag. And then as I heat the glue, because I'm telling you, it didn't dry like super glue. It wasn't like hard. You know what I mean? I think it was like Elmer School glue or something like that. And when I heated it up, you could see it start to liquefy. And then I take my rosin bag and I just squeeze it over the bubbles, right? And there's a nonstick sheet on the other side, right? Because I don't want it getting on the paper and getting moist.
Mm-hmm.
And I just go like this. And then what I do is I take my paintbrush and I'll move it back and forth slowly. And the stuff from the rosin bag, it makes little balls as it picks up the glue. And then you just brush off the cover. And I just kept doing it until there was no shadowing. And when I put it under black light, there was nothing. It just showed paper. There was no more residue. But it took a long time.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, just not a regular heat gun, though. I have a Husky. It's a black and yellow. Looks, I'm a Steelers fan, so it fits me perfectly, But but that's what I do. In the rosin bag, it's what is that? I can't even speak. Absorberine. Yeah, it's one of their rosin bags. And all I do is I just keep going like this, and it spits out the little pieces. And then I just go back and forth with my paintbrush. It makes little tiny balls where it picks up the glue, and you just brush it right off.
Oh, that's great. That's a great idea, John.
Then you just keep going. You have to keep doing it, just not one time. I did it probably 30 times. You know what I mean? Because it's a very small area. Imagine if that would have been a big piece. Holy crap. I'd probably still be working on it.
Comic Hunter says, do you feel the non-blue labels, I think he means the gray and the purple ones you received, are due to the cleaned cover not matching the pages? Do you think that the interior pages gave it away because they were so much dirtier than the cover?
No.
Okay.
You know why? Because this book, as clean as that back is, you guys can see the back, how white it is. This got universal label, 5.5, but look at the page quality, guys. Cream to off-white. Page quality, I don't think had anything to do with it. I think it's speed.
You think they're high on methamphetamines down there?
I don't know, man. All I know is that why would I get 2 restored labels, 1 conserved label, and the 2 books that I did the most chemicals on got blue labels? I don't understand.
Well, obviously the relationship between how much what's used on the book and what the color label is broken, at least right now.
Yes, or they just got people down there that don't know what the hell they're looking at,
That's
which is, yes, in my opinion, that's probably what it is. I mean, look, I've been grading comic books for 28 years, okay? And you could just look at a book and you pretty much know just by looking at it one time over, to cover to back, about where the grade's going to be. The inside pages are the last thing they look at. The first thing they do at CGC is they pick up the book and see how flat it is. They look at all the open edges. They want to see if the book lays flat and even all the way around. The last thing they do is check for restoration, color touch, because they put it in under black light or whatever to bring everything to so they can see it.
And supposedly it's done 3 times, right?
It's supposed to be seen. Each book is supposed to be seen by 3 different graders. How can I get a turnaround time of 10 days if each one of my books has gone through 3 graders? I don't think so, brother. I don't think so. If anybody asked about my watch, I know it's yellow. People are probably
I saw it actually.
freaking out. People are like, why is he wearing a yellow banded watch? What's wrong with him?
It's 2/3 of a clock, really. It's huge.
Wait till you guys see this. You guys are going to flip. You guys are going to want it. People are like, if Big John can wear a yellow banded watch, I can wear it. But you guys ready?
Yeah.
Check this out.
You can see you from Google Earth with that thing. Oh, it's a Wolverine watch. That's pretty sweet. Is that one of those new Citizen watches? Who made that?
Invicta.
I think Citizen has a series of these solar superhero watches too. That's really cool.
I collect Invicta watches. So, dude, so for all you haters, because I'm wearing a baby blue and yellow banded watch, there's Wolverine.
That's awesome. I collect, this is mine. I collect Omega watches. This is one of mine here. I got a bunch of these old Speedmaster and Seamaster watches. These are my, that's my favorite brand.
Rick, I don't have your money, brother.
Yeah, these are great. I love them. I don't wear, I have my Apple Watch for day to day because this thing would last a week in my lab at work,
Yep.
These are great watches. And it has the, you can see the motion in the back of it, actually. It's pretty cool.
It's called Skeleton.
Yeah, this is the James Bond one from like Goldeneye or something, I think. Yeah. But
yeah,
anyway,
I don't have your money, brother.
Yeah. What questions do people have? So we only have 7 minutes to go. Let's see what questions you have for Big John, everybody. I know you have some.
Nobody's got any questions for me. I don't know nothing.
Oh, they do. We just have to wake them up a little bit.
I have now listen, I have an Avengers watch made by Invicta. It's heavy, but it was hand dipped, so they're one of a kinds.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's pretty bad to the bone.
Yeah, I have another one here. This is a cheapo Omega 2. This is one of their the ones with the battery,
Oh yeah.
That's the cheapo version.
At least you ain't got to put it on a box like some of mine.
Oh, this is another 007 one. I guess. But they weigh like a pound.
Yeah, my favorite watch that I have right now is an Invicta. It's a Shack, and it's pretty heavy, but it's numbered to like 350 of them.
Oh, well, that's nice.
It's stainless on stain. It's pretty sick, actually.
Yeah.
All right. So, any questions, Rick?
I know.
Because if not, I'm going to go home. I haven't eaten all day, so I was going to go home and tie on the proverbial feed bag.
Yeah, I know it's late for you, so I appreciate you talking, John. And it looks like we don't have any more questions, so we'll sign off. We'll give you your 6 minutes back, and appreciate you talking to us. Okay.
Yeah, no worries. Do me a favor though, when you put this out, do me a favor. Do it for me. Pound CGC.
Oh, really? Okay.
Tag
They're
them.
not like this, John. They're not going to.
They already don't like me.
Okay.
But what's funny is, some of them don't like me, probably some of the higher ups, but if they would stop bringing me their books to press and clean, then I might.
All right. Well, I'm going to put Comic Book Underground, and I'm going to put CGC in there. And then the
Yep.
sparks are going to fly. People are not going to like that.
I
They're
don't
not
care.
gonna like it.
Hey, my door is open 5 days a week. And if you call the number on the door, that's my direct number. And I live 3 minutes from my store. Believe me. I'll be more than happy to come up here. And if you want to talk, we can talk. But I'm always ready, brother. Got the gloves on. I'll
get 'em,
press
Joe.
them like I press a book.
they'll be purple labeled.
Yes, sir, they will, because they're definitely going to need some restoration. Hey, Rick, you tell Nolan I said goodbye. Say hello to the wife. Say hello to everybody, man. Just remember, Big John loves you, so you ain't got no haters.
That's right. And good night for me too. And I will say, remind everybody, wet paper is weak paper. Don't touch a wet book.
Yeah, and there's plenty of boogers on your books. Don't pick your nose to get more.
All right. Good night. See you. Bye.
Love, peace, and chicken grease.
I love it.